Hello and welcome to Popcorn Mumbles, where we dig into the back catalog to select a film or television show to rewatch. I'm Cody Nestor.
Hello, everyone.
He's jumping the gun.
I'm jumping the gun.
He's
but
Todd.
Hey, guys.
He's Todd Hill. This week we've chosen the 2014 film Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. 10 years after simian flu wiped out much of the world's Homo sapiens, genetically enhanced chimpanzee Caesar and his ever-growing band of followers have established a thriving colony just outside San Francisco in Muir Woods. Meanwhile, a small band of human survivors emerges, which forces Caesar as leader to grapple with the dual challenge of protecting his people and reestablishing a relationship with the remaining human population, the latter being Caesar's secret wish. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was released on July 11th, 2014. On a budget of $170 million, it made $710 million. It has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 91% and an audience score of 88%. So, Todd, let's discuss Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Spoilers are ahead.
Okay.
So, Todd, we watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes last week. We're into Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. We're into the Matt Reeves Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, followed up by the War of the Planet of the Apes. So we're firmly in the Matt Reeves Apes verse now. Overall, just high level thoughts here about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. What did you think?
For me, this is the one where Matt Reeves really got on my radar. This one and obviously the sequel. This is the one where when I found out he was going to be directing the Batman, I was like, hell yeah. You mean the guy did them two Planet of the Apes movies?
Yep.
Because, I mean, this one and its sequel are top-notch stuff.
Yeah, very, very strong stuff. Yeah, definitely put Matt Reeves on the radar for me as well. It's really a fantastic film. We're going to kind of go through it and go through the story and kind of take it a little bit in depth here. But yeah, if you've never watched this trilogy, as it ends up being, like you're doing yourself a disservice if you're a science fiction fan or you're a fan of the franchise. This is one of, not to spoil our takes on it, but this is one of the best trilogies in recent memory and maybe all time. Like, I mean, it's a very strong trilogy. And again, Rise, we were kind of in that 7-8 range on Rise, know, good to great. This takes up a notch.
Yeah,
by far, maybe two notches. We'll see. But let's just kind of jump into the story here. Just kind of starting off. I like the opening. It kind of it serves as kind of a recap of the first film and establishes the stakes. We kind of starts off as the map, kind of the Indiana Jones map line.
Right.
But it's the simian flu line, not where Indy's flying to. It's where people is dying.
The whole time I was watching that, I was thinking in my mind, how much of that did we actually live through in 2020, and how close did we get to what happened at the end of that?
That's a note I had. Yeah, in a post-COVID world, this opening hits pretty close to home.
It hits different. It really does.
It can all unravel so quickly. They say in the narration, we're kind of getting some, kind of narration, exposition presented through news broadcast. They say the simian flu is estimated to kill between 5 and 150 million people in 6 to 8 months. Like,
wow.
Really kind of establishes the stakes and really kind of sets up the world we're going into. The opening shot we get after those kind of opening kind of introductory credits, that opening shot of Caesar is amazing.
Oh yeah.
The war paint just in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the effects before. The effects in Rise were good. Again, we talk about stepping up. The effects in this are amazing.
Amazing stuff.
Like, you could argue that if that shot doesn't work, if it's goofy, if it's too much uncanny valley, if it looks off too much, if that shot doesn't work, you could argue the movie doesn't work.
Yeah.
If that first opening shot of Caesar doesn't work, you're off to a bad start, but it
nails it from the beginning.
Absolutely works. So we'll kind of come to learn later, we're 10 years past where we left off in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Humanity has fallen, and Caesar's leading his village, his colony, his family of apes. They're just kind of living out in the woods, kind of, as I mentioned in the synopsis, in the Muir Woods, kind of outside the city of San Francisco.
Yeah.
He has a son at this point, Blue Eyes. And we see Blue Eyes versus the bear. They're kind of out. The opening scene is the apes are out hunting together.
Yeah.
We see kind of Blue Eyes versus the bear. He gets kind of swiped, gets kind of scarred across his chest, across his face. We see Koba come back for the first time. Koba obviously featured heavily in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And we get to see him here. He's kind of like what would you call him? A war general?
Yeah, you can almost see him as like maybe a second in command to Caesar.
Yeah, Koba. I love that he's like, Caesar. He's not able to just take on the bear himself, even as strong as he is, and he's just kind of like, calling for people, calling for Koba, and Koba just comes running, dives off the fucking, dives off the hill, and just one shots the bear pretty much,
Right,
with a spear, and it just sets up how badass Koba is as well. And then the world building here, like talking about it, we get the first kind of shots of apes on horseback, which is like a classic. When you think of Planet of the Apes imagery, apes on horseback is like one of those classic Planet of the Apes kind of imagery things. The ape village itself, like where they live, how it looks, like all of that's amazing. It's just kind of like cobbled together from the forest, and it's kind of set up into this little kind of makeshift village, and like the setting, the forest, the rainy atmosphere, like the setting for the film is just perfect in my opinion overall.
Yeah, we see Maurice. He's kind of teaching the younger apes. There's a kind of like almost a blackboard, chalkboard kind of thing. Like he's some kind of ape commandments, maybe.
Yeah, it's like the 3 ape commandments that I could read was ape not kill ape.
Right.
What was number 2? There was one about knowledge is power, and there's another one that comes back, apes stronger together.
That's right.
Apes stronger together. But yeah, he's like the school teacher. That's my exact note. He's basically the school teacher. In addition to having a son, Caesar has a wife. Her name is Cornelia. She is, once he gets back to the village, he's immediately met by like the ape village doctor that has like this, like, to differentiate themselves, has a like
kind of a face mask,
kind of covering, which I thought was it's fun, it's cute. The casting of this film, Judy Greer. I did not know she played Cornelia. Do you know Judy Greer?
That name sounds familiar.
Remember the new Halloween franchise, Halloween 2018.
She
played
was
Karen.
She was the daughter to Jamie.
Daughter.
Okay,
yeah,
I got
Judy
you.
Greer.
Okay.
She has no lines in the movie. I guess she just made ape sounds for a few days in a sound booth. But apparently she's Cornelia. Never knew that.
I didn't either.
But she's just given birth to Caesar's second son, so we kind of see them have a little kind of family kind of moment there. Him and Caesar and Maurice, again, they have a little kind of conversation after his son is born, and Maurice mentions too that it's been 10 winters since the simian flu kind of began, and it's been 2 winters since humans were kind of last seen, and kind of they're both kind of wondering, like, are they really gone?
Right.
Cut to one of them shooting rockets somewhere. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah.
Wonder if they're gone.
Bang! No, they're still around.
We still here. Yeah. So we cut to a human named Carver. I fucking can't stand Carver.
He's an ass.
I can't stand characters like that in films, and I'm not talking about like it's not like. I mean, he's a little bit of a cliche, but like he's meant to be antagonizing,
right?
And he's meant to piss you off. But yeah, Carver, Rocket's son Ash is out with Blue Eyes, and they kind of come across Carver. He ends up shooting Ash, and then that's when we're kind of introduced to Jason Clarke. He's our main human character. Jason Clarke's Malcolm. His new wife or girlfriend, I'm not sure which.
We'll say girlfriend.
Girlfriend, Carrie Russell. She plays Ellie. Malcolm's son, Cody Smith McPhee, who plays Alexander. You may know him from Matt Reeves' Let Me In. He was also in the Power of the Dog, which was like an Oscar contender a few years ago.
Okay.
You may know him mostly as Nightcrawler in like the last 2 X-Men films.
Oh,
like
okay.
Dark Phoenix and those.
Oh, yeah,
He was young Nightcrawler in that.
All right.
But we're kind of introduced to Jason Clarke and his group and his little family there. And Jason Clarke, he comes from a large group of virus-immune humans, and they've kind of been holding out in the city. He, along with Gary Oldman, who's also in this film, they're kind of trying to rebuild the human race, I would say. And the crux of the story is that to do that, they need power. So they're running out of fuel, and there's a dam nearby that's kind of capable of providing humans with the power that they need if they can kind of get it up and running. Problem is,
it's right up in ape territory.
It's in ape country, Todd. Yeah, and Koba and Caesar here. It's the big kind of
the battle of ideologies.
Yeah, the big ideological battle is Koba, his thoughts on it versus Caesar's, and Koba tells Caesar that they must show strength to the humans, and Caesar agrees. And I love that he just marches all the apes right to the human's front door. Like, I think that's a great scene to like show strength. He takes all the apes he can right up to their front door.
Yeah.
And he tells them apes don't want war, but will fight if we must. And here's something I kind of had more, kind of paid attention to more when I was watching this again last night. I love how speaking for Caesar and some of the other apes like Koba at first seems kind of like difficult and like strained in earlier parts of the movie. And then, but as they speak more and more, it becomes kind of more fluid and natural throughout the film. I think that's just kind of like a nice little touch, like a nice little piece of world building. Is like it seems kind of strained when they first start talking because they usually communicate through sign language, but when they're talking to humans, they have to kind of Caesar actually speaks, and it's kind of like it's in like kind of a strained way. And again, Andy Serkis, he's the granddaddy of motion capture and motion capture performance, as we said before. So, like, it's all pitch perfect there. Let's talk about Gary Oldman, Todd. My takeaway for him is he's not really a bad guy.
He's not. No, he's not really. He's just trying to, help his people, help the humans get back on their feet.
Yeah, he's not. He's not some bloodthirsty villain. He's not like, he's trying to keep people safe and kind of rebuild. And he understands that they might have to fight the apes for the dam, but he's not fiending for it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's not his major outcome. That's not what he's going for.
Yeah, if he could avoid conflict with the apes, he would avoid it. Yeah, he's kind of set up. He's an ex-soldier. We see him later. He's kind of looking at a picture of his family when his iPad cuts back on. So he's like an ex-soldier. He lost his family. It's mentioned before. Jason Clarke lost his wife. Kerry Russell, it's mentioned she lost her daughter.
Right.
So everybody's kind of lost in this world. But yeah, he's not like. I kind of appreciate it. He wasn't just warmongering, bad guy, villain of the week, like kill all the apes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. Like I appreciate he's not really set up as like just a bad guy to be a bad guy. True. He's acting like a human being would kind of act in that situation. It's like, we need this or our settlement's going to go to shit. And they have what we need. I would rather avoid conflict, but conflict may be necessary.
Right.
So Gary Oldman, he gives Jason Clarke 3 days to kind of convince the apes to let them repair the dam, and he's going to lead his men there basically to fight them and kill as many as they can and let the chips fall where they may, I guess you would say. So you got Kerry Russell, Nightcrawler, two random dudes that really don't get much set up in the film, and Jason Clarke. They all kind of go back to the apes forest, and Jason Clarke, he ends up going back to their village. He kind of gets found by a gorilla? It kind of comes out of the.
He's kind of He
just kind of lumbers,
drags him up there.
Yeah, and that look of like horror and fear on Jason Clarke's face as they're like marching him through the village was like so good. I think he's one of my favorite actors. Like I think he does a really good job.
He did a good job, yeah.
But Caesar agrees to go see what he's talking about, what Clarke is talking about. He agrees to let them kind of repair the dam as long as they surrender their weapons. And you kind of cut to some apes just smashing
destroying them,
just smashing the shit out of them, smashing them to pieces. One of my favorite scenes in the entire film. There's a great scene where. Again, Koba is questioning Caesar. They're back at the village, and Koba is questioning Caesar about trusting the humans. And Caesar tells him, let them do their human work and they'll go. And Koba, he has this kind of moment where he's like, this motherfucker. Like he's like,
come on now.
And he's like, he points to the scar on the back of his neck and he's like, human work.
Yeah.
And then he points to the scar on his arm and he's like, human work.
Yeah.
And then he kind of gets a little bit more vocal and he points to his eyes and he's like, human work. And I'm like, I just love his characterization, and I love that scene because from his backstory, like he's
never known nothing but terror and horror from humans.
Yeah, whereas Caesar, like he was raised by a couple of good ones, James Franco and John Lithgow. Right. One of them not such a good person in real life. I'm talking to you, John Lithgow. I know. But yeah. Yeah, so Koba, he's been kept in a cage. He's been experimenting on his own life. He has no reason to trust humans, and he doesn't trust humans. But yeah, I love that scene between him and Caesar where he's talking about human work. Mentioning the cast here, Toby Kebbell, he's playing Koba here. You might know him from Kong Skull Island, where he's just that guy that's just hanging around just to get killed for a little while. He gets.
Oh yeah, okay.
He's also Dr. Trashbag Von Doom in Fan Four Stick.
Okay. Okay.
If you remember that.
I try to block out a lot of that, but I think I remember him.
Toby
Yeah.
Kebbell, he was Dr. Trashbag Von Doom in that Fantastic Four film. But he's great in the role as Koba. Like, he does a great job with the performance and the motion capture and all that stuff. So, Todd, tell us what Koba's doing behind the scenes when he visits the human armory the first time. He goes back again, but what's he doing the first time?
He's kind of just scouting them out, and he kind of realizes that, they've got a major stockpile of weapons. They got guns. They got, they got enough stuff to take out the apes.
Yes. And I love that little,
where he plays like a dumb, like almost circuit chimpanzee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's like two guys who are like back there testing the weapons, or like constantly shooting some guns back there. And he goes back there and he's spotted by them. And to get out of it, he puts on this like charade of like,
like a train.
I'm your friend. Yeah.
I'm an old circus chimpanzee.
Yeah, point to his mouth, like,
yeah.
give me food, and like, make him laugh. And then like he just gets out of there. But as soon as he like turns from him, you see that go from like,
yeah.
And like,
it's just like that.
It's
good. Just great characterization.
Yeah, it's just good building of his character. Like, just that whole scene is kind of great. We'll come back to a second visit. The apes kind of end up saving Jason Clarke and his company from a cave-in after they kind of blasted out some debris that they were clearing from the dam.
Yeah.
He kind of speaks with Caesar by the river while his infant son kind of crawls around on Carrie Russell. And the baby chimp, it kind of eventually gets into Carver's toolbox, and we see that idiot, of course, has packed a shotgun.
Dummy.
Because of the dumbass he is after they've told the apes that they surrendered their weapons. Caesar kind of flips his lid. He tosses the shotgun into the river and tells the humans to leave. And so Jason Clarke, of course, can't accept this. So a little while later, him and Carrie Russell, they go to the ape village, and we see Cornelia. After she's given birth, she's still sick. She's not getting any better.
She's not making it too good.
Yeah, not making it too good. And Carrie Russell offers to help her with some antibiotics, and they kind of ingratiate themselves a little bit with Caesar and the apes as well. And we see Koba's his fall to the dark side is continuing as he kind of challenges Caesar at the dam. They have a scene where they go back to the dam, and he tells Caesar that he loves humans more than his own sons.
Yeah, he gets all up in his shit.
And Caesar shuts that shit down and beats Koba's ass right then and there.
Yeah.
And Caesar kind of you think he's going to kill him, but Caesar kind of comes to his senses, and he gives us the line again: "Ape not kill ape, Todd."
And it's that great little part where, they kind of bow down to Caesar and present their hand, and Koba just barely pulls it away before Caesar barely gets a finger to him.
Exactly.
Like, you see that's already fractured. That's gone.
Yes. And then that just kind of cements Koba's fall, because like in one of the next scene, he's talking to Bright Eyes, who's like, he's kind of disillusioned too with his father's leadership. He's kind of, I guess he's going through his rebellious teen ape years.
True.
And he's kind of like, anything his father says, he's the opposite of.
Yeah.
And he's kind of falling under Koba's kind of tutelage in a way, and Koba's kind of having a conversation with him, and now that he's kind of challenged and lost to Caesar, he says Caesar won't trust him anymore, and you need to kind of protect your father. This is when we get him going back to the armory. What happens at the second time at the armory, Todd, with Koba?
So he goes back again, and I think it's the same two guys.
Same two jackasses.
He kind of puts on his, little circus chimp routine, kind of acting funny for him. Like, he asks for a drink of their alcohol, and he spits it all over him. He's just playing a fool. Then he gets one of them's gun, and he's just like, I don't know what this is, but he turns around and kills them.
Yes.
He knows exactly what it was. Kills them. He caps them both.
Yes. And it just, that from when Koba picks up the gun and drops the charade and just brutally murdering those two guys, it's kind of like, it's dark.
Yeah.
It's chilling, just like the look on his face. And it's like it's chilling without having to see a lot, without being overly violent. Like, it's just the imagery there is just so strong with him, just that turn on his face and just standing there with the gun, having murdered these guys.
It's one of those great moments where we as the audience know what he's capable of, but those two guys have no idea. And we know it's coming, but it's jarring.
And now we know what he's capable of, but Caesar doesn't.
No.
Caesar doesn't, yes. They eventually get the humans get the dam working. They all kind of share a moment now and lit up a abandoned gas station.
I think it was a Union 76 station.
Yes. Random guy, he goes inside and starts playing Brooklyn Moves, Take a Load Off Andy.
Yeah.
It's kind of playing. They have humans kind of have a little moment together. They all go back to the Ape Village, and the humans they celebrate fixing the dam. And Caesar kind of rejoices the fact that Cornelia, she's kind of doing much better now.
She's improving.
To Ellie and her antibiotics. But good times are short-lived, Todd.
Because Koba's back.
Yeah, Koba, he directs another random ape they got a Zippo lighter, and he has him set the place on fire, and he assassinates Caesar with the human tool that he took, the human weapon that he took.
He shoots him with the gun he stole.
And it's a credit to this movie, too, and its storytelling that up to this point you've been watching the development of interpersonal relationships, politics, and power dynamics of computer-generated apes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be more engrossed, Todd. You've got me, movie.
Exactly.
I'm invested.
The whole time I was watching it, I was thinking, I've watched human-acted movies that I was less invested in than this CGI ape movie.
Yeah. The storytelling in this, and, I don't think we've done it justice. How great this movie is, and how much that you do get invested in to those interpersonal relationships and the power dynamics, and like I said, the politics of it all between Caesar's leadership and what Koba wants to see, and trying to balance out, living peacefully and not involving themselves in human affairs, and also having to protect themselves when they need to, and it's
right.
all so good. And like you said, yes, I've seen films with actual real human actors that have not been as well done as this film, and it's just a testament to not only the cast and the actors and the performances, but also the direction here, because I'm everything in this movie is stepping it up from Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, because when Koba came back that first time, I think that ape he was talking to, I think it was Caesar's son, he says, "You didn't tell my father about those weapons." And he's like, "No, and you're not either."
Yeah, I don't know if it's Caesar's son, but I think it might be that random ape that sets the place on fire. He's like, "You didn't tell Caesar about the guns we found." And he's like, "Yeah, you won't either." Yeah. And I'm like, "Damn, yeah." Mm-hmm. He's serious about his business. And then, the premise of this film, it so easily could have went off the rails, but Matt Reeves, he treats the material so seriously, and in such a way it works. It works damn well. It's he treats it so seriously and so in such an earnest way, I think. Yeah. And it's it works.
He had respect for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably the best way to put it. After Caesar falls, Koba kind of presents the gun he used to assassinate Caesar.
I found it. No, he didn't really say that.
As evidence to. He uses it as evidence of human treachery, basically, and he kind of blames the humans for Caesar's murder.
Oh, yeah, and there's that great shot where their humans are right there with Maurice, and he's like, run.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to next. Yeah, you just look at Maurice, and he's like, run. First time we've ever heard him talk.
Yeah.
He's like, get the fuck out of here.
You guys ain't gone yet.
In the city, now that the power is back, and humans they're trying to establish radio contact with any kind of other survivors. Right. That's kind of another little plot thread we've got going there. But at this point, Caesar's been assassinated. Koba's in charge. Koba he wants war. He wants humans. He's bloodthirsty. He's warmongering. So do you want to take us through Koba's kind of attack on the human settlement here, Todd?
So he has them leave the women and young apes behind. And,
in the woods, yep.
Or female, not women apes. And he sets everybody else off on horseback, and they're heading for the city. And they get into that stockpile of weapons, and it's those classic scenes we remember from the OGs, apes on horseback, armed, and the humans are kind of stationed themselves in this tower, and there's just this big assault on the tower, and it's great stuff. Koba takes out was it like a armored type vehicle at one time?
APC, armored personnel carrier. Yeah, that my note about that is Koba taking down the human APC may have given us the best shot in the film. That him taking them out inside of it, and then you have the camera mounted on the top of the APC.
And it's all from that camera's perspective.
Yeah, and it kind of rumbles down the street, and Koba's firing the machine gun. That shot might be the best in the film, honestly. But Koba's attack on the humans, so many apes die.
Yeah.
Like Koba hates humans. Like I said, he wants war no matter the cost, and there's absolutely no strategy to his plan.
It's just dead on full ahead.
It's
just
brute force. That's
Yeah.
all it is brute force, and he's leading the charge. He's leading these apes mostly out of fear of him, of what he will do to them.
Right.
But yeah, there's absolutely no plan here. Back with the humans, with Jason Clark's group, they find Caesar's body. Turns out he's still alive.
He's alive.
Yay for us. And they need a safe place to hide, so they can kind of operate on Caesar and kind of patch him up. And so he directs them back to James Franco's house.
Yeah.
Which is it's a nice callback. It's a nice way to kind of connect to the first film, because this world, it feels so different from Rise
That
of the Planet
original,
of the
yeah.
Apes. Like, the world has fallen. Like, we're full dystopian future at this point. So it's a good way to kind of connect the first film back to this one
Yeah.
without going full on, like, hey, remember berries all the time. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
it's a good way to kind of connect it back. Once Koba, they're successful with the attack on the human settlement, so they start kind of rounding up the humans, putting them in cages. There's a scene, probably one of maybe the most vile thing that Koba does takes place in City Hall. Do you want to tell us what Koba does in City Hall? You know what I'm talking about?
Is that the one where he throws Ash off the balcony?
Yes.
Yeah. They're all going up there, and Ash kind of has, maybe a little conflict of interest, and he's like, Caesar wouldn't want this.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of lays down. I think he'd give him like some kind of metal pole
Yeah.
to bash that one human. He said, kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And he just comes down there, and he kind of, at first, just kind of pats him on the head or something. Then he just grabs him by the scruff up the steps and throws him off the balcony to his death.
Yeah, it's hardcore.
Koba's gone at this point.
Yeah, he's full on. He's full on. This is his Anakin Skywalker murdering kids in the Jedi
Yeah.
Temple moment
Yeah.
for Koba here. That City Hall scene, it lends us to another great shot of Koba standing outside, perched atop the flagpole with the tattered and torn American flag
Yeah.
waving, just kind of watching the apes below him kind of march the humans to their captivity. Another great shot.
Good
Like
stuff.
I've never seen a bad looking Matt Reeves film.
Me neither.
Let me know in the comments if you have, because this damn sure is not one of them at all. We should also mention too, music here by Michael Giacchino. He's done music for a lot, if not all, the Matt Reeves films. He also did the music for the Batman.
True.
Fairly understated score, I would say. The music is not very bombastic, and it's not very present. It's kind of understated compared to something like the Batman, which you'd expect that to kind of be heavier on the score
Right.
than something like this. I think the score here is good. It's very understated, though. There's not a lot of bombastic score here. It's
Yeah.
not like overbearing at all. It's like it fits the tone kind of perfectly here, I would say. Jason Clark, he kind of sneaks back into the human settlement. He's looking for a surgical kit. He runs into kind of Blue Eyes after we get another nice look in what is. It's a one shot, but it's one of those that's kind of got, I would assume it's got those hidden cuts in it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a kind of a great looking kind of a one shot. He's kind of running his way through the building, trying to avoid the apes above him and below him and that kind of stuff. He ends up bumping into Blue Eyes, and he takes Blue Eyes back to kind of reunite with his dad. Caesar kind of breaks the news to him that Koba shot him. It wasn't the humans, and Blue Eyes kind of apologizes for being like such a little shit for most of the film, and urges his dad to kind of let him help.
Yeah.
And Koba's kind of imprisoned those that are most loyal to Caesar. He's got them in a bus. They kind of like chained up in a bus, and Blue Eyes kind of helps get them free. And I love it because it's like, the motto is ape don't kill ape. But the Caesar loyalists, they sure did squash and kill some apes when they turned that bus over.
They turned that bus over on several.
Yeah, ape kill a lot of ape when turned bus over.
Right.
Yeah. At this point, we're set up now. The loyalists are back with Caesar. We know Koba's kind of playing. Koba's got the humans kind of locked up. Caesar has to challenge Koba. We also have the dynamic of Gary Oldman and what they're going to do to push back against the apes. You want to take us through that kind of the finale here? Tell us what the good apes and bad apes are up to, and I'll talk about what the humans are up to. You want to take us what the good apes and bad apes are up to here?
So we're kind of up in that tower, and we're kind of at our final confrontation between Caesar and Koba.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, good battle. They go kind of back and forth. Finally, Koba's kind of knocked out onto like an edge. He's just barely holding on. He's getting ready to slip, and I think Caesar grabs him. And you think he's going to pull him back up to save him, but he doesn't really do it.
Yeah,
and then Koba's kind of like, Ape, don't kill Ape. And Caesar's like, you're not Ape.
You're not Ape.
And just drops him.
Yes, and drops him. And they're kind of fighting. They've had their fight in that kind of blown out, bombed out tower. Because the human side of things is that Gary Oldman and some other dudes are kind of down there, and they had rigged that tower with C4 everywhere.
They were going to blow it.
They knew that all the apes were kind of congregating there, and things were going down. So Jason Clarke, he can't have that. So he kind of wants to give Caesar a chance to kind of peacefully kind of bring this all to an end. And he kind of had Gary Oldman and them kind of at gunpoint a little bit. Oldman grabbed the detonator, blew the C4, says he's kind of saving the human race, and he blows himself and those other guys up that didn't really have much choice in it. And Clarke managed to escape. But yeah, that Caesar and Koba fight, like, you know, they're both kind of weakened in it because Caesar, you know, he's obviously was affected by that gunshot injury. Koba, he ended up getting a large wound on his left side, yeah. And yeah, that climax to that fight and just him offering his hand and Koba being like, Ape, not kill Ape, and him just saying, you know, you are not Ape, and like it's just so good. Like Koba drops to his death, hitting many things on the way down top. many things.
Ping, 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 ping,
exactly.
Ping, no.
Jason Clarke kind of at the end, he tells Caesar that the more humans are coming because they did make contact with some soldiers from a military base using the radio. And Clarke tells Caesar that the apes must leave or there will be an all-out war. Caesar says war has already begun. And says Caesar, he says the ape started war, human will not forgive, and that Clarke must go. And then Caesar calls him his friend.
That was great. That scene at the end between them two is great.
Yeah, I love the line where Clarke says, I thought we had a chance, and Caesar says, I thought we did too. And like the effects there and the motion capture performances, like I just can't say enough. They're just so good. Like Andy Serkis absolutely knocks it out of the park again. Like
and he kind of grabs him by the head and brings him in close.
Yeah, they have that embrace kind of like him and Franco used to do. You know, absolutely. Like. And we see the remaining apes, they kind of swear their fealty back to Caesar as kind of the camera comes in close for a final shot of Caesar's eyes, kind of that final great shot there. And then we fade to black, Todd. What will come, the stage is set for what we'll see in Matt Reeves' War for the Planet of the Apes. But as far as this film goes, just amazing stuff.
It is. I mean, like I said earlier, I have watched movies with, you know, all human actors. Didn't even get me nowhere near as emotional or as invested as this right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think, again, this is such a step up. And like I said, I liked Rise. I gave it a 7. I thought it was a good film. But I was really watching this, and I was like so invested in it. I'm like, it's been so long since I've watched this trilogy, but especially Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And I knew going from Rise to Dawn that I'm like, I can't wait to get to Dawn because like it just sets a new stage, and like it's just such a well-made film. Like it's just I can't say enough about it. It's just so good. If you've not sat down and watched these films, just as fans of film, they're great films in general. But if you love, like I said, science fiction, if you love the Planet of the Apes franchise and somehow haven't seen these films, I can't recommend it highly enough.
Definitely.
You want to go into reviews?
I'm ready if you are, boss.
All right. So we rank films on a scale of 1 to 10. Starting from 1, the ranks are torture, 2 awful, 3 bad, 4 subpar, 5 mediocre, 6 decent, 7 good, 8 great, 9 amazing, 10 masterpiece. Todd, give us your final thoughts and review score for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Well, for Rise, I went with 8, which was great. I love Rise. If you're going right here now, you know, you got nowhere to go but up, and I got to go up here. This movie to me is a 9 all day long. It's an amazing film.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you as well. For me, casting, performances, visual effects, music, cinematography, storytelling, it's all amazing. It's all on point. I was so invested, I was so enthralled in what was going on. There was never a moment that I was bored. There was never a moment where I was, you know, anything other than like super invested in the film. I don't know what the knock would really be against this movie.
Honestly, I was sitting here thinking the same thing. I don't know where the nitpick comes in.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could say if there's anything that you could bump up or bolster in your script, I guess it would be the human characters, but they're not what I find is interesting.
Right.
Like, so I don't think the argument there is like I want to see more depthful characterization of the humans, or I want to be more involved in the human dynamics and the politics. Like, we've seen that before.
Right.
Like, we're here for the ape stuff.
Yeah.
And this delivers, and it delivers in a way of like when you go to these movies, like when you watch Transformers, or when you watch like what's another big franchise where like the Godzilla, like the new legendary MonsterVerse Godzilla, where it's like Godzilla and the monsters are there for like 5-10 minutes. Some like Transformers are there for only certain times in the film. It's like this film, it's apes. It's throughout. There's not, the apes are just not sprinkled in.
Yeah.
Like, we have a movie that's mostly led by CGI driven characters, and it absolutely works. And you're not having to like wait around for like, when's Godzilla going to show up?
Right.
Oh, there's his foot. Let's cut away. Like, you know, like
Right.
2014 Godzilla. Like, I'm paying for apes. And Matt Reeves gives me apes.
He delivers the apes.
He gives me apes.
That's
and like,
it.
I don't know what the knock is, and I don't really have any criticism of it. I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10. I'm with you. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, which ranks it as amazing. But I don't know what the knock here is. If someone tells me, Cody, it's a 10 out of 10, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue
Yeah,
with
if somebody walked up to me and said, that's a masterpiece, I'd be like, well, I would be hard to tell you it's not.
I can't tell you why I give it a 9 over a 10. It's just a feeling thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a gut feeling.
It's just a
thing.
gut feeling that it's a 9, it's not a 10. But if someone told me it should be a 10, you're right.
Yeah.
I can't argue with you.
Yep.
But for us, we're both going with 9s out of 10, again, which ranks it as amazing. Todd, you want to tell everyone how they can find us and stay up to date with us on social media?
We are at Talc Apes on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Talc Apes Podcast on Facebook. You can also email us at talcapespod@gmail.com.
If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. Popcorn Mumbles will return. We want to thank you so much for listening. Till next time. Bye, guys.
Later, guys.